Hi, everyone. It's Coach BJ with the Source of Hope, and we are live for Transformational Talks with Coach BJ. I am so excited that you accepted the invitation for this talk this evening. So, as you guys are coming in the room, please go ahead and share or start a watch party if you are led to do so. But I would love for everyone to get more information about this topic I'm going to share tonight. So, it's going to be mental versus emotional health. So, very good information. I am going to share it in a very easy format and just extract certain things for you to easily catch on, for you to just learn it and to be able to share it with someone else. So I'm very excited. And as you guys are still coming in, I just wanted to let you know that Transformational Talks with Coach BJ is every Monday and Thursday, first and third Thursdays of the month from 7 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. So I wanted to make these live talks very short because, again, I know you guys are overloaded with information as it is, whether it's from work or other platforms you guys may follow. So, again, I just wanted to keep it short, sweet, and to the point. So I talk for about maybe 15, 20 minutes of the talk. And then the remaining 10 to 15 minutes, I like to hear from you. I want to get your comments, your feedback. I also want to answer any questions you may have regarding the subject that we talk about. So I'm very excited for this project. And again, let all of your family and friends know if they can't get on tonight, they can always look at the replay. And again, it's the first and third Thursdays of the month. So again, I'm just here to share the good news, share information that can help you grow personally and professionally. So I'm so happy to do this. So let's go ahead and get started with what we're going to be talking about tonight. And so, again, mental health versus emotional health. Do you know the difference? Do you know the signs? And do you know if you're already emotionally healthy and mentally healthy? You may already be that. But if you don't know the signs, if you don't know what to look for, if you don't know if you're already healthy, you just kind of left out there wondering. And a lot of people use mental health and emotional health interchangeably. So I just wanted to let you know there is a difference. So I'm just going to kind of quickly define it. Again, talk about some symptoms or some things to watch out for. And then again, some strategies and everything to learn how to cope with mental or emotional health. Okay. So before we get started, I have a disclaimer alert. I am not a clinical mental health professional, but I am a master wellness certified coach in transformational coaching, mental coaching, cognitive behavior coaching, and also identity and beliefs. So I kind of play around in this area. So, but again, I just wanted to put a disclaimer that I am not a licensed clinical mental health professional, but I do a lot of research on the topics that I discuss. And the source I'm going to be using this evening is the Pyramid Family Behavior Healthcare, because they did a wonderful job in really breaking down these two topics. So I just wanted to, again, share with you what I've learned. So this is for informational purposes only. The next thing I want to say is to get out your journal, get out a notepad. There may be some things you want to write down, some golden nuggets, something I may say, something I may share. I want you to be able to capture that information. So go grab a pen and paper as I'm still kind of going over the beginning stages, but go get a pen and paper, get your journal, and get ready to take down some great information. Like I said, it's going to be quick, straight into the point, but I want you to really be able to take everything in, okay? And the last thing before we get into the deep dive is that I always say that I have the questions and the content to spark the conversation, but only you have the answers. Everybody receive feedback, everybody receive information differently. So only you know how the questions and the content apply to you. Okay? All right. So I always like to start off these talks with a quote or something that is applicable to what I'm going to be discussing. So I found this quote by Matt Haig, and it was just really great. So he said, mental health problems don't define who you are. They're something you experience. So for example, you walk in the rain and you feel the rain, but more importantly, you're not the rain. right? So I thought that was really key to what I'm going to be talking about. Okay. So again, write this down. Mental health problems don't define who you are, they are something you experience. And just remember the example about the rain. So let's define what is mental health. So, mental health influences your thoughts and actions, and it covers three types of well being: your psychological well being, your social well being, and your emotional well being. So, keep that in mind. Again, the topics that mental health covers is psychological, social, and emotional well being. Now, let's talk about the symptoms a little bit of mental health, right? So, severe changes in mood. Now, I'm not talking about maybe a woman's time of the month or if men or women going through a change in their life as they age and get older. I'm talking about severe changes. So I'm talking about chronic mood changes that you had and severe changes where you know that you look back at yourself and you're like, I'm not the same person, I was last month or months ago. This is consistent mood changes. I'm very moody, right? So that's one of the signs you want to look for. Feeling a lack of energy. And again, I'm not talking about you work the double shift at work and maybe this happens every now and again, but chronic, consistent lack of energy that you have in your life. You want to keep an eye out on that. Overeating and undereating is another sign and symptoms that is associated with having mental health issues. So again, you want to keep watch on, are you overeating? Not because you're bored, not because of a bad relationship or a breakup, or if you're undereating, stressed out about something. Again, something that's temporary, but again, something that is chronically happening where you're constantly overeating or constantly undereating. And then the next thing is insomnia. Now, most people have insomnia issues and they've been identified by a doctor to say yes, you have insomnia, you have a hard time sleeping, and they give that person a solution. But if you're typically a person that gets 6 to 8 hours of sleep and all of a sudden you just having problems sleeping and you can't sleep and you're constantly up at night, and and it's not from if it's not driven by a specific problem, then maybe that's a sign, right? Or it could be the latter. You're excessively sleeping. You're sleeping all the time and you can't seem to get any energy or motivate yourself to get up and do anything. Like once you're home, you're back in the bed again for hours at a time. So that's a indication that there's something wrong. And then the last thing, the last symptom that I have on here with mental health is increased use of drugs and alcohol. Now, everybody may occasionally socially drink wine or socially drink something, you know. So if you go from socially drinking to having a drink constantly every day and you see your alcohol consumption increase, then you may want to look at that as a sign. Or if you use drugs and it's increased use of drugs, or if you have prescription drugs that you are using more than you should, then again, it may be a sign that you may want to look at. Okay. Now, let's look at the impact. So, the impacts of those symptoms that I just discussed is your ability to manage stress, right? How well you maintain your relationship with others. Those are the things that you need to be looking at. Again, your ability to manage stress and how well you maintain your relationship with others. And again, I'm not talking about, you managing stress from a temporary situation or something that you were just some bad news you were just hit with, but I'm talking about your ability to manage stress ongoing, right? So again, that's an impact on your health. And again, how well you're maintaining a relationship with others. So now we talked about mental health. Let's take a quick look at what is emotional health. So, emotional health is having both an awareness of your emotions and the ability to manage and express those feelings in an age appropriate manner. Okay. So, again, the ability to manage and express those feelings is emotional health. Now, let's look at if you're suffering from emotional health. Here are 5 quick ways to confirm. You start noticing a personality change, right? We talked about being more moody or mood or severe mood changes for mental health. But now I'm saying if you start to notice your personality change, something to kind of take notice of. Or you start noticing yourself you're agitated, you're moody, you're angry, you're anxious, you're agitated again all the time, chronically moody, anxious, agitated, right? Or you start to become withdrawn from people, where you withdraw from an isolated, you isolate yourself from other people. Now, sometimes this may happen, when you've lost a loved one that's close to you, a spouse or a child, or something, someone that really hit you very hard. You may temporarily isolate yourself, but you're not going to isolate yourself long term from someone. Okay. And then poor self-care, you stop taking a bath every day, you stop doing your hair, you stop doing your nails, you stop going to the barbershop, various things that you just stop doing. You have just stopped taking care of yourself, right? So that's a sign or indication that you are there's some emotionally health issues going on, right? Or the last thing, you get to a hopeless state of mind. And when I say hopeless state of mind, that means that you lost all hope. You feel like nobody can help you. You're spiraling down in depression. And then you ultimately are looking at suicide, right? So you become in a hopeless state of mind. So here's some of the signs you want to look at so you can catch these things early. And hopefully, if you're not experiencing these things, this is something to watch on both the mental and emotional health with others. Are they spiraling out? Have they stopped taking care of themselves? These are things that, again, you don't only have to be aware of for yourself, but you can also be aware of for someone else. Okay. Now let's look at the difference of both. So difference number one: processing information versus expressing emotions. So with mental health, which is what we first talked about, refers to your ability to process the information. Okay. And for emotional health, on the other hand, it refers your ability to express your feelings about the information you just learned. Okay. So I'm going to give you an example. Let's say that you have two family members, right? And so let's say someone came and said, so and so died, or this person died. And for person number one, right? So mental health is the ability to process the information. So how did person number one process the information, right? So the emotional side of person number one, their ability to express it, what they may do is they may cry out, they may get hysterical, disbelief, they may just lose it all, right? And then you have the person number two, their ability, mental health, to process the information. On the emotional health side, what they do is they take control. So they shut their feelings down, they don't express it, and they just say, okay, this is what we need to do. They may say, I can't believe it, but they show no emotion or no feelings with it. They just say, okay, what do we need to do? We need to, go to the, morgue, or we need to go X, Y, and Z. So they just start to operate, right? And that's how they cope with that emotional health situation. Okay. So that's difference number one: people processing and expressing the information differently. Now, difference number two: one can thrive while others struggle. And so it's important for you to understand that between mental and emotional health, that people can have a mental health issue but still maintain good emotional health, and vice versa. So I'm going to give you an example. So while struggling with the mental health problem, like having lack of energy and not feeling motivated with the daily things that you do every day, you can still exhibit an emotional health by finding effective ways to manage that lack of energy. So even though you're having that problem with lacking energy, you find ways to express it. So you're going to say, okay, well, even though I'm going through this energy, issue or whatever, and I can't seem to get it together, but here's what I can do about it. So understand the distinction between being able to mentally and emotionally deal with either or. You don't have to be experiencing both at the same time. Okay. And the last difference is the scope of the two. So, mental health is not only about how well you understand or process what you experience, it also includes your ability to carefully reason, right? To maintain steady focus and attention on whatever that situation may be. And so, the wide scope of the mental part of it is your emotional health. So, your ability to actively understand your emotions. So, the mental health side is to reason and to maintain your steady focus. But then the emotional part of it is, how do you manage them? So that's the scope of the two terms and the differences on that end. Okay. Now, here's what emotionally healthy people look like. They're in control of their thoughts and their feelings and their behaviors. And so, though emotionally healthy people, they feel stress and anger and sadness, as I mentioned early on in the talk, is that, you can temporarily be stressed out or feel angry about something or feel sad, but it's not something that you're chronically or behavior you're chronically displaying, right? So, you know how to manage your negative feelings. They can tell you about the problem, they can handle their own. So, this is a sign of an emotionally healthy person where they're able to display these behaviors and they're able to take care of it. So the information comes, but then they know how to also handle it. So if you're like this, then you're already emotionally healthy. So great. So let's look at a good emotional health example, right? So noticing upsetting emotions when they arise. This enables you to name them and process them in healthy ways. For example, you may choose to confront somebody who hurt you, and we've all, or some of us on here, may have experiences where you find the guts and the will to, really confront someone who've hurt you or have made you angry, rather than lashing out at them. So that is a good emotional or healthy behavior to display versus practicing unforgiveness and choosing not to tell the other person how they made you feel. Or you may opt to set some healthy boundaries. So you do this from the beginning, from your family relationships, from your work relationships. You set those boundaries early on so people can know how to treat you and they know, okay, here's the limits I can go with Coach BJ. I can't cross this line with her because I know that's you're crossing a boundary there. So again, you set those boundaries with people so they can know how to treat you. And the last thing I want to talk about is how can you improve your mental and emotional health, right? So practice your emotional regulations. I can't say that enough, right? So the emotions can sometimes, get the best of you. So you want to be able to learn some coping strategies rather than getting upset or losing your temper about anything that may upset you. So coping strategies can include the following: meditation. For those who meditation, for those who meditate and pray, you can use meditation as a coping strategy, or journaling, right? Journaling your thoughts, start writing them out all on paper and really just getting them out on how you feel. Listening to music is also one that is helpful. For me, it's jazz. Like when I get upset about an isolated situation, I will listen to jazz music because that calms me. It makes me feel better. And so I love that. And the biggest thing, the last thing I will tell you is to talk to a therapist if you're going through a mental or emotional state of mind. Talk to someone, right? Talk to a therapist, talk to a counselor, talk to your pastor, talk to a coach. Again, just talk to someone who can be able to help you or give you guidance and direct you in the right way you can go, because you don't want to experience any of those symptoms that could ultimately lead to either your death, suicide, or any of those things. So we definitely want to talk to somebody early on before it get too bad. And I also want to end with some inspiration. I want to end with these three things. Every day is a fresh start, right? And difficult roads lead to beautiful destinations. And I always want to let you know to don't give up. You're not alone. You do matter. So you always want to know these things. Just, again, keep your head up, stay motivated, be inspired every day to do these things. So I wanted to leave you with these inspirations for you to write down in your journal as you've been taking notes throughout the talk. And again, as I always say, the presentation has ended, but not the conversation. So if you would stay on Facebook Live as I come back on and get your feedback, get your comments. And I want to be able to, again, help you answer any questions that you may have. So stay on, and then you're just going to now magically, the presentation will be gone and you're going to ultimately see me. Okay. All right. Hold on just one second.